Welcome to Ask a HearYI. Let's share stories inspired by the hexagrams together.
Every day it kind of feels like we're navigating some new crossroad, doesn't it?
It really does.
And you get those moments where, well, the logical path, the one that looks perfect on a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
it just clashes like violently with that gut feeling you have.
That deep intuition.
Exactly. The path that only you can really feel is, actually walkable.
Yeah, and that's often the universal pattern of pressure, isn't it? Puts us squarely in the most uncomfortable spot.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
And that's really the heart of what we want to explore today. We're looking at this very modern dilemma, but one I think everyone recognizes. It's the person stuck between two powerful opposing forces, maybe a manager, could be a team leader.
Could be anyone, really.
Yeah, and you're caught. Imagine the chairman, the big visionary, is demanding, expand, grow, go bigger, faster, invest now.
That huge push for momentum. Right. But then countering that, you've got the general manager. The voice of caution, saying, hold on, slow down, cash flow first. We need to cut costs like yesterday.
The preservation instinct, so necessary, but completely at odds.
And the person responsible for actually making both these things happen.
Just stuck, paralyzed.
Pulled apart, totally. Feeling that horrible anxiety, needing one clear direction, but getting two messages that are just incompatible.
And what's so fascinating, really, is how this specific kind of chaos, this modern tug of war we see in organizations all the time, it perfectly mirrors an ancient pattern. Our source material, it frames this journey as starting with union, which is by, and then transitioning into obstruction, or John. So the mission for us, really, is to understand what this pattern tells you about keeping your own integrity.
Finding your own voice.
Finding your own voice, exactly, when all the noise from above is just deafening. How do you find that path forward?
Okay, let's definitely unpack that transition from, the hopeful start to maybe the inevitable challenge. So that initial stage, union, that's what everyone wants.
Right.
It feels like alignment, like things are working together.
It's the promise.
Yeah, the sources paint this really nice picture. Water nourishing the soil, resources seem ready to flow, ideas are popping up.
Teamwork feels genuinely possible. Collaboration.
Everything looks promising, like it's all lined up.
It is. It's the promise of growth, the potential. But that transition to obstruction, Gian, that's the critical part. It's the warning sign, maybe.
Okay.
If union is like that gentle, life-giving rain, making everything fertile, then obstruction, Jean, is like finding yourself on a cold, difficult mountain path in winter. It's tough going.
Right.
The pattern isn't saying connection or resources are impossible. It's not denying that. It's more about the process. It's saying the journey, the execution. It's going to hit significant obstacles.
So bumps in the road are expected.
Big bumps. And navigating them requires, profound patience, sincerity, really being honest in your approach.
And that tension, that friction, it really flares up the moment we realize that decisions being labeled teamwork or collaboration, sometimes they're just masks.
Yeah.
Right. Underneath, it's really just a power struggle. Who's in control?
Exactly. That's where the initial momentum, the energy from that union stage, it just hits the mud.
It's the mud. I like that.
Because those high-level strategies, the chairman's big vision and the GM's cautious plan, they start competing directly for the same limited things. Resources, budget, people's time.
Right. Finite stuff.
Finite stuff. And that conflict up high, it inevitably cascades down. It has to. And it leaves the person doing the work, the implementer.
Stuck again.
Stuck again. Unable to move forward without, stepping on the toes of one of these giants.
And, this isn't just business jargon. This is life, isn't it? We face this kind of thing all the time. The gap between expectations, what others want, what we think we should be, and the reality of, our own limits, limited energy, limited time. And the wisdom here, it doesn't seem to be about finding some magical third option that makes everyone happy.
No, it's usually not that simple.
It seems more about realizing that you first have to find your own footing, what feels genuinely steady and walkable for you personally.
That internal grounding, and the danger of just getting swept up in that power conflict. It's really highlighted by this vivid analogy in the source material. It says, two tigers are fighting on the hill, and you're just trying not to get caught in the claws.
Wow. Okay, that paints a picture. Terrifyingly accurate sometimes.
It is, isn't it? Because it captures that political fear.
Totally. You feel like you're going to get crushed in the middle of their clash.
And maybe one side does win temporarily. They get the budget or the project goes their way.
Right, a temporary victory.
But, as the sources point out, even then, the air in the room, it still kind of smells like resistance, you know?
Like unspoken disagreement.
Exactly. That feeling of, okay, fine, I agree to this plan on paper, but deep down, I still don't accept the whole idea.
And that hidden resentment.
That becomes the real lasting obstruction. That's what kills momentum down the line when you least expect it.
Okay, so that makes sense why the wisdom keeps pointing us inward first.
Precisely. It's why the solution isn't just picking a side, expand, or cut costs. It demands something deeper.
Finding that dynamic balance within yourself.
Yes. And this connects to that beautiful concept, zhang, xiu hu shen. Using middle and harmony, using balance, essentially, to cultivate yourself.
Cultivating yourself.
Yeah.
That feels like where the practical action actually has to start. You can't control the tigers directly.
Not easily, no.
But you can control your own position, your own stance.
Yeah.
So the first step, the immediate necessary thing is, it's almost too simple. Stand steady.
Stand steady.
Then choose.
Then choose. But that stand steady part, that's the work.
Right. But okay, how does someone actually stand steady when you've got two really powerful people breathing down your neck, demanding you do something specific like, now? That feels, well, maybe a bit philosophical when your manager needs results next week.
That's a very fair challenge, and the source material definitely acknowledges how hard that is. Standing steady here, it means first accepting that your direction forward probably can't be a single, rigid answer.
Ah, okay. So not just picking plan A or plan B.
Not necessarily. It has to be more like a path of dynamic equilibrium, a constant balancing act.
Okay.
You're trying to balance that aggressive investment, drive the chairman's voice against the absolutely essential need for risk management, for cash preservation, the GM's voice.
So it's holding both realities at once.
Holding both. Finding that balance point between, you could say, the wet, nurturing earth of B, that potential, and the cold, hard, challenging path of G. And it's navigating between those two.
Okay, that makes more sense. It's about your posture, your mindset first. But then, how do we actually shift the external reality? We need some concrete steps, right, for the person stuck doing the actual work.
Absolutely. And the sources offer a sequence. Step 1 is transparency over decision.
Transparency over decision. Okay, so don't rush to pick a side.
Don't rush. This is actually a really critical, almost political move first. It involves setting up what the sources call a dual point meeting.
A dual point meeting. What's the goal?
The goal isn't to decide anything, not yet. It's purely to create absolute transparency. You use this meeting to force those high-level, often vague conflicts.
Yeah, like expand.
Exactly. Force them into specific, maybe even measurable categories. Put it all on the table or on a whiteboard.
Okay, but how does that actually look? How do you get the chairman, for example, to define his acceptable risk range in front of everyone without just starting the fight right there in the room?
That's the clever part. The power of this meeting is that the facilitator, that's you, the person in the middle, you aren't offering solutions. You're not taking sides. You are simply documenting boundaries.
Ah, documenting boundaries. Okay.
So you ask questions like, what is the chairman's maximum acceptable financial risk tolerance in numbers, if possible? What specific non-negotiable budget baseline does the GM absolutely have to maintain? And crucially, what does the team on the ground say they need? What's the list of essential practical support required to even attempt any plan?
So you focus on the limits, the guardrails.
Exactly. By focusing on boundaries, not forcing a solution right away, you shift the whole dynamic. It moves from like political posturing and opinion
to just collecting data.
To risk management documentation. Yeah, data collection. It cools things down.
That's actually brilliant. It turns this emotional argument into something factual.
Yeah.
And that transparency, that naturally leads into step 2, right? Uncovering the hidden glitches. The sources have this amazing phrase for it. 康庄买心为光线. It means a glimmer of light appears while being buried in a pit.
Yeah. It's a powerful image. It refers to that moment of insight when you realize the big, high-level debate.
The chairman versus GM fight.
Is completely ignoring some crucial reality on the ground. For instance, maybe the chairman is demanding rapid expansion, but the glimmer of light in the pit is realizing that, oh, wait, A key engineering department's current workflow is totally jammed.
Like they're already overwhelmed.
Exactly. Maybe they're running at 50% capacity because of, say, outdated software or a broken process. Pouring more money or projects in at the top won't fix that specific ground-level obstruction.
Right. The bottleneck isn't money. It's something else entirely.
It's the microlight, the specific overlooked problem that's actually holding everything back.
Okay, so how do you find these microlights? The suggested action is really practical. Process photography.
Yeah, it sounds a bit technical, but it's simple.
It says brief, like 5-minute recordings, or just rapid notes of critical steps and pain points. That's incredibly specific. Why only 5 minutes?
Well, the time limit seems intentional, doesn't it? It stops you from getting bogged down in huge, lengthy analysis projects that often stall things even more.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. The 5-minute snapshot, whether it's a quick video on your phone or just scribbled notes, it captures the raw, immediate pain point. That frustrating moment when a system fails or a crucial handoff gets dropped or someone waits forever for information.
The moments people actually complain about.
Yes. You gather these microlights, these specific observations, and then you immediately categorize them. What are the short-term fixes the team can maybe do right now themselves?
Okay.
And what are the resource-dependent needs, the things that do require help from the chairman or the GM budget, tools, decisions?
Ah, so it shifts the whole bit again, away from the abstract growth versus caution.
Towards concrete bottlenecks, specific inefficiencies. It takes the ego out of it somewhat.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've got transparency, finding the glitches. Then there's step 3. This one feels crucial. Addressing the emotional elephant in the room.
The tigers.
The tigers themselves. This source phrase is striking.
That's the tiger scare? So, 무서. 우두부기 펠리앙ren. Basically, tigers fighting are not good people. It implies that level of conflict isn't healthy, isn't productive.
No, it's destructive.
Yeah.
That tension, it has to be neutralized somehow or at least managed safely.
So how do you do that?
The action proposed here is to arrange a neutral communication session. And the key is, it must be strictly non-decisional.
Non-decisional, meaning no budgets get approved, no final plans are signed off on?
Correct. Nothing is decided in that meeting.
Okay. So if they aren't making a decision, what's the actual point of getting them together? Isn't that just more talking?
It's a different kind of talking. You might need a trusted third party, maybe someone internal everyone respects, maybe even an external mediator, depending on the situation.
Okay. A facilitator. Right. And
Okay.
their job is simply to allow both the chairman and the GM, and maybe key team members too, to voice their deepest worries, not defend their position, not argue for their plan.
But just talk about what they're afraid of.
Exactly. What are their fears about the risk involved? What keeps them up at night regarding market changes or competition or financial stability?
So it changes the dynamic from a fight
From a contest of wills, yeah. Who gets the budget? Who wins the argument?
to something more like shared vulnerability, or at least shared risk analysis.
Shared risk analysis is a good way to put it. You move the conversation from, I oppose your idea, towards something closer to, okay, I understand why you're concerned about that. It fosters understanding, even if agreement isn't there yet.
That sounds difficult, but potentially powerful if you can pull it off.
It takes skill, definitely, but it's about diffusing the raw tension.
Okay, so this whole step-by-step approach, the transparency meeting, finding those micro-like glitches, and then this neutralization session. This is how the person in the middle manages to get to the next stage.
Yes, which the sources describe with another insightful kind of contradictory phrase, kaikwanzan, wanan pinki.
Which means?
It means you've temporarily grasped control of the resources or the funds. You've bought some time, maybe got a small budget approved, but the unease remains. Nan pinki. The atmosphere isn't settled. The peace feels fragile.
Ah, okay. So you've won a small battle, maybe. Gotten permission to try something small.
Exactly. But you know, the underlying war, that philosophical conflict between the tigers, it hasn't actually gone away.
So you feel grateful for the temporary breathing room, but also cautious.
Gratitude mixed with caution. That's the feeling. You absolutely cannot assume the core problem is solved just because you got a temporary green light.
Okay, so what do we do with this temporary hold, this fragile peace? We can't just relax.
No. The key is to treat it not as an endpoint, but as a beginning. It's a controlled experiment.
Ah, turn the temporary hold into a test.
A regulated, transparent test. You need to implement short-term trials for whatever plan got the tentative okay. And these trials need intensely measurable, observable indicators.
Things you can actually see and track.
Absolutely. Set clear checkpoints. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. What specific results must we see by each point?
Okay, that sounds like standard project management. Define metrics, track progress.
It is, but here's the element, the piece of wisdom, that often gets missed and separates this from just, basic project planning.
That's that.
You must agree up front, before the trial even starts, on the fallback plan.
The escape hatch.
The escape hatch, exactly. What happens if the indicators aren't met at the 30-day mark or the 60-day mark?
What's plan B?
What's plan B, or is it plan C? Is it an alternative strategy we pivot to? Is it an agreed-upon retreat mechanism? Everyone involved, including the Tigers, needs to know precisely what happens next if the test shows it's not working as hoped. It has to be agreed upon in advance.
Wow. That takes the pressure off the decision point later?
It does. It turns what could be seen as failure into just data. It turns a temporary pause, that fragile piece, into a structured, regulated learning process for everyone. The team, the GM, the chairman.
He controls the risk for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Including the people at the top.
Precisely. Because the path forward, including potential adjustments, is already mapped out.
This really ties everything together beautifully. It synthesizes those ancient patterns into something really practical for today. You have Union by offering the potential, the resources like the water ready to nourish the earth.
The hopeful beginning.
But then obstruction, Gian, immediately reminds us, hold on, this path is difficult. It requires that sincerity, that patience, that need to extend a hand metaphorically in the cold.
Yes. And perhaps the deepest test for you, the person caught in the middle, isn't ultimately about your ability to pick the single right direction from the start.
What is it then?
It might be more about your willingness to extend that sincere hand first.
To initiate the connection.
To initiate connection, transparency, and shared understanding. To invite everyone, the visionary chairman, the cautious GM, the team doing the work, invite them all to feel the actual terrain together through these steps we've talked about. Transparency, finding glitches, testing.
So mapping the ground before you decide how to cross it.
Exactly. Only then, once everyone has felt the ground, can you collectively, or maybe you individually with their understanding, decide, do we flood the whole field with resources right now? Or do we maybe water it more slowly, section by section, carefully, with those agreed-upon fallback plans ready?
It brings us right back to that core tension, doesn't it? The crossroads between, say, pure intuition and careful planning. When you're in this incredibly complex, politically charged situation, when do you lean on the perfectly balanced, transparent 90-day chart with all its metrics and fallback plan?
And when?
And when do you just have to trust your own refined internal sense, that deep gut feeling, that ability to just walk the path you feel is right, even if the Tigers are still roaring about something else entirely? That intersection between the data and the intuition.
Yeah, maybe finding that balance. That's the only choice that is ever truly fully yours to make.
Thanks for listening to Ask HearYI. We'll be back next time to talk about more stories from other friends.